All right. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Fall In Hackathon podcast. We just finished doing a space hackathon this past weekend, which was, May 17th through the 19th, 2024. We're joined by Team November with Giselle and Jeffrey. Yeah, why don't you guys kick it off by telling us a little bit about yourself, your military background, if you have that. How did you hear about the hackathon? What kind of made you gravitate towards it? And yeah, let's just start with your background. Giselle, you want to go first?
Yeah. So I'm Giselle Ross, and I'm actually a U.S. Army veteran. I recently separated back in April, and I was a medic for the past 6 years. Moved around a little bit. Only had two duty stations. I was in Maryland, and then went to Alabama. And from there, my husband got a job in Tampa, and that's where I live now. And the last 4 months of my military contract, I did a skill bridge, which allowed me to go to a coding boot camp. I went through with Galvanize, and that's actually where I heard about the Fallen Hackathon. One of my friends, or cohort mates that I was there with, he mentioned this hackathon back in like February, and I looked into it and I was like, oh, this sounds really cool. It's 3 days too, so I was like, decided to take part.
Awesome. Jeffrey, you want to go next?
Yeah. My name is Jeffrey Fung. I was born and raised in San Francisco, and I did my undergraduate at UC Berkeley studying neurobiology, and then ended up going to Loyola University out in Chicago for a master's in medical sciences. And so, really, most of my background is in medicine, and I'll be starting medical school at University of Illinois and moving there in the August. So since given all my backgrounds mostly in medicine, I think I really wanted to develop skills in the tech industry because I think it's just a really amazing and impactful industry, an area where you can create a lot of like tangible changes. That's what really excites me in terms of how I want to move forward as a physician and a physician innovator in the future. And I found out about this hackathon through actually one of my friends, Gladys, who also doesn't have a tech background, but really saw an opportunity to learn and build new skills through the hackathon while kind of supporting the veteran community. And I have some experiences like volunteering at the VA and really want to support the veteran community in the future. And I just thought this would be a great opportunity to really network, but also learn some new skills along the way in computer science, since I'm a complete beginner to the hackathon. But it was an amazing experience, and I'm really happy to be here.
It's awesome. I kind of want to dive into your medical background here. Did you say you're about to start medical school or you're endeavoring towards medical school?
Right.
You
About
are. In which medical school are you attending?
at University of Illinois College of Medicine.
Very nice. Cool. So, yeah, you must be really proud that you got in after taking your MCATs and all that sort of stuff. And
Mm.
do you have a choice for residency or anything like that as far as
Yeah,
like duty stations?
probably not completely sure yet, but definitely as far as specialty, kind of just looking around and interested in specialties where there's actually a great opportunity to bring in like new technologies. And I think the specialty of just general medicine actually gives such broad opportunities to bring in new technologies to improve the workflow systems and be a better kind of advocate for underserved communities. So I think any specialty that really allows me to kind of bring in diverse experiences and contribute in unique ways to really improve the the environment would be something I'm really interested in.
Nice. And Giselle, I'm curious, what was it about tech and coding that made you want to come to this field? Because it sounds like you were doing something totally different while in the military.
Yeah, so similar to Jeff as to why he's doing tech, it's mainly because you have such a just a broad variety of things you can do with technology, and you get to be creative about it, and you can kind of come up with your own solutions for things that you care about. So something that I really like is animals. I'm an animal lover. And before I did the boot camp, I assisted my husband. He created like a an app for dog trainers. And so what you do is like it's like for videos and blogs and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of I thought it was really cool. And so that's one of the main reasons I got into tech is just how diverse it can be and helpful too.
Nice. Yeah, I imagine it's a big career change, and I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but every participant gets a one-on-one mentorship with me. I've been mentoring veterans, breaking into tech for the past few years, and yeah, if you want that sort of coaching, mentorship, schedule a time and we'll get you locked in. And then I had one last question for Jeff's background. Do you know which field of medicine you want to get into post medical school? Have you thought that far? Are you taking it day by day type thing?
Yeah, so I think there are definitely some fields I'm really interested in. Fields like cardiology, gastroenterology, kind of areas where I've actually personally seen a lot of actually some innovations, tech innovations really be integrated really well in the medical devices that really assist physicians in caring for patients from diverse backgrounds. And I remember just like shadowing a cardiologist, and he told me that there was a heart monitor that was actually just that can be placed on the patient's chest and can track their heartbeats. And then that data was actually just, or that device was created by a physician in training who just decided, there's got to be a better way to track a patient's heartbeats when they go home and then come back to the hospital, and track it over a longer period of time. And I just thought that was so cool and something I would love to be involved in the future.
Yeah, that does sound really cool. Anytime I hear about innovations that don't exist and it sounds like it became a startup, I really dig that. Going to the hackathon, I want to dive into what initially sparked your interest in creating an app for space enthusiasts. Maybe Giselle, you can take this one.
Yeah. So I'm not like typically a fan of space, but I really thought this was a really cool opportunity to be creative and get kind of outside my comfort zone and do something that I'm not used to. And I actually got to learn about the different like space stations out in space. So I thought that was a really good opportunity.
Nice, Jeff. You want to go next?
Yeah, I'd say a big. I'm also a lot like Giselle. I don't naturally follow a lot of space innovations, but I really personally have a big passion for education and like being somewhat of an advocate for accessibility to education. And I think that was a bit reflected in our app that we eventually created, where it's somewhat of an educational tool, which kind of shows users, information about things in space. And so that's what really excited me about getting involved in creating a tool that could help people really interact with space in a different way that's never really been experienced before. So that's really what sparked my interest and what's actually still been keeping me going.
Nice. And can one of you talk about how you guys came up with the tagline "Hello World, but in space"?
I think
Yeah, I'll
Giselle,
let Jeff
yeah,
take
go
this one.
ahead. we were we were all literally just sitting in our Discord, and we were just like, so what do we want to call this? We came up with the idea for the actual app. We never came up with a name, but we were just sitting around and we were just cracking jokes, like coming up with the corniest titles. And I think I mentioned like a great idea would be to call it like Look Up, and that was immediately shot down. Just like, no, that's not happening, That's too corny. So then ended up, I think it was our team leader who was talking about, you know what, a lot of people, a lot of coders encounter is that "Hello World" tagline, and then I mean that's just so relevant to just space exploration, just the world, just essentially when you discover something, it's like "Hello World," hello like to a new world, and then but this time it's in space, and that's what the goal of our app is, to really get people to essentially look at the world from a different perspective.
Right on. Very cool. And so let's dive into the project a little bit more, and maybe Giselle can take this one. But what would you say are some of the unique features that the app that you developed offer, and how does that compare to existing solutions in the space exploration tool vertical?
Yeah, so something that I even found to be really interesting and I thought useful part of the app. So we implemented a weather API into it, and the purpose of that was to, so say you want to go see the ISS from nearby, and you make a whole plan, and you go, and it's foggy, you can't see anything. So the purpose of the weather API was for visibility purposes. So if you plan the day, you can tell if it'll be visible or not, and whether you can take that time to go see and it's not a waste of time.
Cool. And would you have anything to add to that, Jeff?
I think some unique features also are that you can. It's what makes it unique, I guess, is that it centralizes different types of space objects and information about their location. There are apps for stargazing and for finding different objects in space, but there's no app that actually centralizes everything that's in space and every type of thing. And you can actually, there's a menu in our app that lets you check which one do I want to see and which one do I want to learn more about. And then if you click on, like, let's, for example, say the International Space Station, and you're curious about the location of that in space, you can click on that box and it'll tell you more about the location of it, where it will be, and what the weather is like around your area and the radius with around your area to see if it's visible or not during that day, and then kind of gives you some fun facts along the way. So it helps you kind of plan your trips and stargazing adventures beyond just the limitations of previous apps.
Very cool. And how did you guys divvy up, the task and start collaborating with each other as a team?
Yeah, I can answer this. So we actually had a senior developer with us on our team. So he really took the lead as team lead for our project, and um, Donald pretty much kind of gave us the role. And for some of us, we didn't know how to code at all, so he was really good at divvying up that role as well and actually giving them useful things to take care of. And then for those who can code, he gave them specific tasks as well. And we used the Trello board to kind of divvy up those tasks as well with what we're comfortable with. And I don't know if Jeff has anything to add to that.
Oh, absolutely. I think as a complete beginner to coding, I just didn't know terms like what is a Scrum, what is Agile, what are these different types of workflow methods. And I've just never heard of a Trello board. So it was really amazing to see how these tasks get divided up and how they get accomplished and put into the review stage and then put into the done stage. I thought it was so cool, and a way that I think that a lot of teams should be working in different sectors of the world too.
And I know this is Giselle's first hackathon, but is this your first time, Jeffrey, being in a tech environment, remote tech environment, kind of learning different methodologies as far as how to get things processed and developed?
Absolutely. Up until like a few days ago, I've just never heard of what a README is. Like truly from the beginning, like clicking my mouse, just learning the basics. But it was so much fun.
Nice. I'm glad it was a lot of fun. I want to dive into the challenges. What would you say was the most challenging aspect of developing your app?
Did you want to go first?
Yeah, I think as from a design standpoint, I think a slight challenge was that we were trying to figure out how to make the app not only aesthetic but very functional. I think when it comes to design, we try to make it as human centered as possible and as like user friendly. But at the same time, we also understand we need to bring in functions that are like very unique to our app, but also balancing not making it too like design heavy where it's like I don't know what I'm looking at. There's just too much on the screen. So I think that was a challenge that we were kind of balancing. And especially because we were making our designs on Figma, so trying to translate that into actual code, at least for me, I had to keep in mind kind of what's possible, and what kind of design is even feasible, especially in the short hackathon time period. But as far as the actual technical difficulties, I think Giselle could definitely speak more on that.
Yes, I would say the most difficult on the technical side was actually being able to implement everything we wanted to within, I think we started Saturday to really implement the tech side. Friday was spent all day planning. And so just being able to actually get everything that we really wanted to on that app by Sunday. So the time crunch was kind of the biggest difficulty. And then I would actually say that another challenge was using the Trello board. Sometimes we forget to look at it. And so we're working on our own thing and then someone else is working on it too. And so I think that was a big learning lesson as to really following the plan that we set forth for ourselves. But I mean, overall, like it was a good learning experience as to like what our weaknesses are and what our strengths are, and just improving from there.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad you guys were able to tackle through those challenges. Can you walk us through the user experience, the UX of basically planning a space exploration session using your app?
Yeah, Giselle, do you want to start with that?
And you mean like how we planned for what it looked like, or can you, I guess, rephrase that?
Yeah, just like, yeah, how you guys came up on what it would be for the user to use the app, like the experience for the
Okay.
user, and then, yeah, let's start there.
Yeah, so we really wanted it to be very easy to use. So we had a landing page where you just click like an enter button. And so once you click that, it that landing page kind of already sets the mood for like you're gonna see space objects, that kind of stuff. So when you click enter, it takes you to a card. And so we wanted it to be very, very simple. So on the left side, we had a list of different objects you can see. And then when you click on that checkbox on the right side, it'll give you those different objects and how far they are from you, the visibility, and then underneath was your location. And so we wanted to be able to give those who learn differently to see it simply written down in a list, but also to be visually able to see it as well and imagine how far it could be from them.
Yeah, to just add a little bit too is that I think the main thing we all were directed towards was to make this app really a one-stop shop for kind of all the different types of space objects out there, but also to make it as visual as possible. As you saw on our
Mhm.
app, there on the bottom part, there's the Google Maps, and you can visually see, as much information as you can just naturally by like understanding the objects on the screen. And not this app isn't just for space enthusiasts. It's meant to kind of somewhat be an educational app to cultivate interests from children as well, and any kids who or students who are interested in space. And that's why we wanted to make it as visual as possible and interactive because it's very personal, right? If I click on where the ISS is, I'll see it in relation to my personal location and really understand how quickly things are moving in space, and where they are in relation to me. So that's one way we really wanted to make sure that the app user experience is more personal, but also visual and is broad, so it can really reach a broader audience, other beyond space enthusiasts.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, could you talk a little bit about what data sources or APIs that you guys use to integrate, or that was used to provide information about space objects?
Yeah, so we used three different APIs, and it was the where the ISS at, and then we used the Google API and then a weather map API, and that was pretty much everything we implemented into there.
Nice. Now, how do you ensure that your app caters to both beginners and experienced space enthusiasts? That's more of a general question here.
Yeah, no, that's a great question because I will say that we initially were trying to ensure that our app caters initially to beginners, right? Making it as simple as possible. You click this box and then you see this information and some fun facts about the object. As far as experienced space enthusiasts, I think that's definitely something we need to explore moving forward because we do try to make our apps as broad as possible and reach a larger audience. But as far as the educational standpoint, I think it would be a great tool to essentially like cater towards really people who have an interest in space, but don't necessarily have the tool to really access that information in a centralized fashion. Giselle, do you have more to add on to that?
No, I think you pretty much hit on every point. The only thing would be, I think the only thing an experienced enthusiast might find helpful is probably the visibility part and future dates and that kind of stuff to go take a look at those objects.
Cool. I know there was a lot of activity for the hackathon. There was workshops, there were speakers. Could you guys, does anything memorable come up in mind? I'm curious what was the most memorable moment for you guys during the hackathon?
Sure, yeah, I could get started. I think there are two main things that really stuck out to me. I think the Fall In community is definitely something that really stuck out to me as far as how collaborative and supportive it was. I really felt like I could reach out to anyone, whether that was you, Jamil, whether that was Giselle, or even just other judges. Adriana was also really helpful, and so that community was something that was really special to me and something I'm new to tech, and it was just such a great welcome into the sector, and I'm really grateful for that. And beyond that, the team aspect of my own team November is something I'm really grateful for. As you know, I'm a complete beginner. I know how to click my mouse, and I think that's the about it. But beyond that, Donald, our team lead, like literally sat down with me one on one just to like literally teach me what a README is. How do I make edits? Giselle one on one taught me how to make edits as well in the README or how to work with a Trello board. And Ben also played a huge role in like literally talking me through the most random questions I have about the simplest things. But you guys, I'm really grateful that you guys really like you didn't treat me like I guess someone that you just wanted to brush aside. That was like one concern, like worry that I had before I ever joined, but because I knew how essentially useless I am to coding at this point in my career. But moving forward, you guys have inspired me to really pick up that skill and really invest more time into it. So I'm really grateful for that.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah. Go ahead, Giselle.
yeah, I can go ahead with. For me, I also really enjoyed the community. What I really would say kind of was a big impact for me is to see if, like a couple women there that were coding and being in the tech field. It's not there's not many women that you see around. It's predominantly male. So it was really good to see that there. And even though they all ranged from several levels of coding as well, I think Adriana being there was a really big help. She was consistently checking in on us, making sure we were good on everything. And just having networked with her, I think is a really big made a really big impact on me. And then a lot of the talks were really good as well. Learning about AI, I think it's good to see that a lot of tech people think that AI is going to take over our jobs and stuff. So it's good to see that it's not there yet and that there's still a lot to learn, and AI still has a lot to learn as well. So that was really cool to see.
Very cool. Do you guys have any plans for developing the app further in the future, or was this just like like a traditional hackathon project type thing? I'm curious if you guys have any plans for the future with this app.
So I can go first. I've thought about working further on this project, mainly just kind of completing a few of the steps we didn't get done, like the weather API. But I'm currently working on other projects right now, so I think time will tell whether I'll keep working on it.
Yeah, I think, but as far as like ways to expand the app, I think, and improve it, I think we we could definitely make it more like broad when it comes to its value of the app, right? I think the app is really great as kind of cultivating interest in space, but I think it could also actually be a real tool for. I was speaking to Adriana about this, how she suggested that maybe it could be useful for tracking objects in space for maintenance features, or I mean, sorry, for the purpose of tracking how long that object has been in orbit or that satellite, and maybe at this specific time point, we should probably like keep an eye on maintaining that satellite to make sure it doesn't malfunction moving forward. So there are definitely more broader features and purposes for our app, and I think we just need to explore that and make it more versatile.
Cool. Can you guys talk about how the app handles different, geographical locations and time zones for space exploration?
Yeah, so I'm I can say I'm not 100% sure about the time zones, but the way that it calculates your location and all that, it there's a formula. I can't remember the name of it, but there was a formula that we used and implemented. Ben was a big help on that. And unfortunately, he's not here today to go further into it. But yeah, we implemented some kind of formula that calculated the distance between our location and the ISS.
Cool. I want to dive into basically, how do you see your app contributing to the growing interest in space exploration? Is this something you guys can answer?
Yeah, I think so. And it was, how does it, what was the question again? So the growing
Yeah,
interest in space, right?
yeah. Basically, how do you see your app contributing to the growing interest in space exploration?
Yeah, I think, like Jeff has said, a lot of kids get very curious. So I think that would probably grow in wanting to explore more about space. And so having an easy app like Hello World in Space to be able to see those quick facts about different objects in space, that would, um, I think that would help.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, I think I realized that actually the app caters to kids who are just interested in space, but also to not just space enthusiasts, but just outdoor enthusiasts, right? A lot of people who go on hikes, who maybe go camping, who just have just a curiosity of like, what am I looking at when I look up beyond the stars, right? Oh, what? There's an ISS? That's kind of crazy. But also just another thing that I think we could do to really contribute to the growing interest in space exploration. It's really actually just straight up adding a link or a way to learn more about careers in space, right? If a kid or a student is interested in just clicking on our app just to see what's above them, that would be really cool if they could also just be exposed to what futures are out there if you continue to pursue this interest of space exploration. So if there was a link to more careers or diverse careers for different types of people and their interests when it comes to space exploration, that would be amazing. And I think even if you're interested in something like medicine, there's just this whole sector of space medicine, which I think is so unique and not talked about enough. That could really be talked about more through our app too, because I'm sure wounds heal differently in zero gravity and in different types of environments. And I think it's important to keep those in mind when it comes to caring for even astronauts or people who maybe have an accident in space and need treatment. So there's so many different ways to take this, and that's what makes it so exciting.
Very nice. Yeah, I wanted to dive into just like space in general. Do you guys have any space like movies or shows that come into mind that, potentially you're a fan of? I know a lot of people really like the movie, what's it called,
Dune.
with Matthew McConaughey, or Dune is big. Yeah,
Oh,
Dune 2.
The
But yeah,
Martian.
The Martian. Yeah. Anything stick out to you, Giselle, and why?
Yeah, so well, those two were kind of the first ones that popped up was Dune and Martian. Dune is just because it's a movie I recently saw. But The Martian, my husband loves that movie. He is a gardener, so just being able to see Matt, is it Mark Watney in space, just growing plants, and so I can't remember the name of the team, but the team that did the plants in space, that was, I think, a really interesting idea to look at. And so, yeah, The Martian, that's the reason that it comes to mind.
I think a big one is for me is Interstellar. I think that movie really I feel like it went beyond space exploration and just went really crazy with just what's possible on a movie screen in the best way. And it made me cry to watch that movie. It's really
Me too.
emotional, but I think that would be one that really stuck out to me. Yeah.
Nice. We're good.
So, what's your favorite movie, Jamil?
In terms of space, I would say one that comes to mind, and my friends make fun of me a lot for this, but there's two. There's one by Jodie Foster called Contact, and that was just a really trippy movie. She's like, traveling and talking with different people that are not human, or different beings that are not human, and it's a really fascinating movie. Like, she's gone for several hours, but then the scientists think that she was only gone for, like, I don't know, like 5 minutes or something crazy like that. So really well made movie. And I think another Matthew McConaughey movie, if I'm not mistaken. And then the second one is probably K-Pax, which was really fun to watch. It's like this guy who is claiming to be an alien, but he's also very convincing. Like, he's convincing scientists and um, astrophysicists and all kinds of people. So it's just like it was really cool to see how that movie turned out. But yeah, I think this has been great. I just want to end it with, if you guys want to promote anything, whether it's like your portfolio, or anything you guys want to give a shout out to, or if there's anything you need help with, I think now's a great time to do that. So yeah, Giselle, do you have anything you want to share?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say thank you for having Team November on here. I want to give a shout out to Team November. You guys did such a great job throughout the weekend, and I think we came up with something really awesome in the short amount of time that we had. Uh, if anyone wants to look for someone to collaborate on code with for short periods of time or a bigger project, doesn't matter. I'm pretty much available anytime right now. And you guys feel free to reach out to me. I'll be leaving my portfolio and my LinkedIn with Jamil.
Yeah, I definitely want to echo Giselle's gratitude to Team November. I'm really really just grateful to meet such amazing people who are also just so welcoming and are natural mentors. That's something I'm really grateful for. I think I'd love to plug a personal project that I'm working on with actually my friend Gladys. We're creating an app called Pavio, and that is an app that brings in human-centered approach to teaching students and youth with visual disabilities personal life skills through live mentorship sessions on your phone that you can access. And we try to make this app as accessible to different types of people who have different types of disabilities, because as we know, diverse disability can be very diverse, right? It can come in different forms. And we definitely want to try to support youth who are really growing up and really want to learn crucial life skills to living a dignified life and a life that is independent as well. And I'll leave that link to that website where people can look at our app demo and give us feedback in the show notes. But otherwise, thank you so much for having us, and really happy that we had the opportunity to work together.
Awesome. Yeah, it was a privilege of a lifetime, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, really hope to see you guys again. I know, Giselle, you want to continue to build projects. Yeah, I think with Fall In, we definitely want participants of the hackathons to continue to build. I think we've got some project ideas that you could potentially start tinkering with and maybe find another person to collaborate with. But yeah, that's probably the number one thing we're noticing with hackathons, and like, because we work closely with coding bootcamp students, is that they kind of slow down and stop coding once the that program or curriculum is over. So
Yeah.
definitely want to help kind of continue that flow. But yeah, it's been wonderful, and then hope to continue to see you guys online. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.